Uncle Ron's stuff. Today is the 30th of January, and I don't know where January went to. Time goes by so fast right now. Anyway, I set up a Tumblr account. That's what it was. And I'd never been on Tumblr, and I still haven't been on X to speak of. But anyway, I set up a Tumblr account. And one aspect of it is you can click on For You, based on what I entered to start with, that my age and biological sex or whatever. Anyway, if I click on what they think I should want to see, I get women, young to old, fully dressed to literally naked. And in every case, these women are staring into the camera and showing off their assets, and their beautiful bodies. And what came to mind was vanity. There must be an attribute of vanity, and I can certainly understand it. And that from a very primitive, if you go back, try a caveman, let's go back 40,000 years or so. You have male, biological male and female at the time in a tribe, and when a woman became of age or a man became of age, they needed to, and I think monogamy goes way back as well, to be honest with you, because a man who had 3 different women and 10 different children, I think the tribe probably said, you're responsible for feeding those people, and that was probably well beyond any one individual hunter's ability to do. And so with a single woman and several children, and I don't even know how many a caveman could support if you think about it. But anyway, I think monogamy came around. But anyway, before the monogamy issue, there is this, physical appearance means a lot. It always has and always did. From a certain perspective, the culture looks at a taller man different than it does a short man, or a very muscular man different than they do a 90-pound weakling on the beat. Weakling on the beach. Okay. Well, the same is true for women. Blondes, blondes have more fun, right? There is cultural aspects to it that go way, way back. And I don't know, for men, yeah, probably true, but certainly for women, they get seen a lot, especially if they're beautiful or pretty. They get noticed. They don't have to do anything, and they get noticed. I mean, sex sells everything. So anyway, they get noticed, and in some sense, these women are taking pictures of them when they are sort of in their peak flower stage. They have not had children yet. Their body is perfectly beautiful under a model of what women beauty looks like. Not too big a breasts, not too small, hips, and so on. And I don't know a definition, but these women think they are close to a definition, and they're rightly showing off what they look like now. And I understand that, because they're not going to look like that forever. So right now, they really got it, and they're showing it. And I think some element of vanity. They must. I don't know if men compare each other together all the time on physicality, but I think women do to some extent. When they look at each other, they're praising, am I as pretty as she is, or I'm as whatever. I don't know about this subject. I'm just contemplating, and the point was vanity. And the first thing that comes up, of course, is the physical vanity. And thinking about it, I have talked about it before, the requirement for self-definition. And I do not think that vanity is an elementary particle of self-definition. I think it's more like you paint yourself with it. I don't think vanity is an element of the self-definition. You're certainly woman is a biological self-definition. You know, and your hair, and there are a lot of things that go into self-definition, but I don't think vanity is an elementary particle of that, or not a major component in most people's life, I don't think. But what I was really interested in, what triggered the whole thing, was seeing all this, what I want to call vanity. But thinking about it, there have to be other forms of it, and so I talked about it in other videos I tried to do, is like, okay, you take a microscope and you put it up and put something underneath of it, and you can look deeply into it. You can see a lot of details, and but you can't take the microscope and look at the microscope. Okay, and my point being is that vanity, this seeing so much vanity, I took a microscope to myself and said, okay, can I find traces of vanity in my being, in my self-definition, or in my presentation to others? Does it come across as a form of vanity that I may not be aware of, because again, microscope is not seeing itself. So to broaden the picture, which is my whole point here, I looked up, and aspects of vanity, this is off of the internet, of course, which is the truth to everything, but aspects of vanity include physical vanity, which is my starting point. That was the most obvious variation of it, I think. But then you have achievement vanity, and excess interests in one's achievements. And that was, I think, what triggered my my thoughts about it, because I think I probably do have aspects of vanity when it comes to my achievements. I have over my life done a lot of different things, and I'm not a master of any of them, but I'm good at problem solving. And I think it is an aspect of my being that I'm fearless in that sense, that I'm not fearful of taking on a new challenge of any kind and sorting it through. Do I exhibit that in some unnatural, unforeseen way that I'm not aware of? That was what's driving this whole vanity discussion thing. And underneath of that, self-admiration. An excessive pride in one's appearance or talents. Obviously, that's a very self-appearance, is the vanity of the women showing their spectacular body, the cultural construct of what a perfect woman's body looks like is a construct. It varies from culture to culture, by the way. It's not fixed at all. Americans like Twiggy looks. You know, Twiggy was a big star, if you don't know her, then. Arrogance, an unhealthy sense of superiority. Now, I have run across people that do exhibit that, and maybe because of their achievements. I've run across experts in certain fields, and they certainly have the right to give off an aura, if you will, of achievement and perhaps superiority in what they know. The thing that I worry about there is, if you have that, an unhealthy amount of it, you can't really hear what other people are saying to you, because you're totally dismissing it to begin with. They have nothing, whatever they say is either wrong, or you've already thought about it, or that's the danger, that's the harm of having achievement vanity, or this arrogance of superiority. And finally, unconcern for others, a lack of consideration of other people's perspectives. And that's the point I was trying to make. If you have a lot of achievement, your self-identity is based on what you've achieved, which is, I think, is an elementary particle. It's a confidence. I want to say confidence is an attribute, elementary attribute of self-definition. It's confidence, whether you have it or not. And I think it is important you at least achieve some level of confidence with whatever domain or whatever area of confidence that you swim in, I guess, that you're in all the time. That environment, it's important you have confidence in the environment that you're around, so you can dialogue with others in a meaningful way and you can learn from others and so on. But the unconcern for others, lack of consideration for others' perspectives, I think the achievement vanity and self-admiration, excessive pride in one's appearance or talents, or arrogance and unhealthy sense of superiority does block a meaningful dialogue. It can get in the way, and I think people are guilty of doing that. And I think, that was a microscope question about myself. Am I guilty of those things? And I think there is an aspect there that I have of that, and I try to ask more questions than I do in the way of providing advice, but nonetheless, I think even then there comes off an aspect of, well, geez, I didn't think of that question, but he did. I do not mean in any way to aura or otherwise project any level of superiority, or what I want to project is curiosity. I'm curious about things, and vanity is one of them. Again, I don't see it as an elementary particle. It brought up because of this woman factor, the appearance factor, which is probably, again, the most important of all of these various things, because it has such a massive impact on who you meet and what you talk about and everything else, appearance. So again, I may repeat myself, one time all IBM computer salesmen, you couldn't become one if you weren't 6'1" tall. They all had a look to them, a hair. They were all lean and mean, and had a superiority aspect to them. They were with IBM, the giant in the industry. That kind of that was just a physicality that had to be present to do that. You didn't have to be a wizard on computers, but you certainly had to look a certain way. Okay. The same is true for other things. Appearance has a profound impact on opportunities that are presented to you. I've always thought, and unfairly so, that women have an advantage over men in certain situations because they are women and they can be very beautiful and they get considerations and thoughts that men just don't get. I think it's an advantage. It's also a disadvantage, and I've always thought that pretty women have a significant advantage around other men anyway. I'm not sure they have a significant advantage around other women, but the point being is they do because they get noticed. They stand out from the crowd, and they get consideration when they might not otherwise get it. Does there have to be something behind it? I think it does. The appearance only gets you so far. And I think women, in some sense, have to be really leery or weary that what are the motives and agendas for the attraction that they're getting. One time it was straightforward and obvious. We have to mate. We have to have children. The tribe only survives if it has enough member, it can forage enough food, if it can defend itself against other tribes. That period has gone away to some extent, although you can still see it in various countries. They have a cultural dynamic that says they either have to expand, just like companies. If you don't grow, you die. That was a theorem or a principle of companies. You have to grow, or stagnate and die. The same, I think, is some sort of thought in various countries. You have to grow, you have to acquire more territory, you have to have the smartest people around and whatever, or you'll die as an ethnic group. I think there is that sort of, and that's a divergence off of what I've been talking about, but not really, because it has to do, again, with self-identity. These ethnic groups have an identity, and they want to hold on to it. They don't want it to die out. The same was true at tribal. 40,000 years ago, the tribe was a family, and they needed to be able to gather enough food and protect themselves from critters and other tribes, and therefore it had the whole physicality aspect to it, and the stronger, taller men obviously were more paid attention to than the lesser men. The women who appeared to were equipped for better childbearing, and they might survive childbearing and the raising of children, were probably preferred and more noticed than others. That's just the evolution of the species, and the stronger survive. That's as simple as that. Enough on vanity. I've tried to cover it, but I think one of the main things that occurred to me was a microscope cannot see itself. So when you're trying to do self-examination, you have to realize you're not getting a clear, objective picture. I often ask people, do I come across as egotistical or superior in some way, or do I don't mean to do it, but am I radiating something like that? And usually the answer is no, but I don't know if people are truthful with me or not, you know, something like that. It's like, I don't really want to answer that question. And I understand that there are questions you can get asked that you don't, that's a conundrum. It's like a woman asked you, does my butt look too big? You don't really want to answer that question. You don't really want to even hear that question. Enough for today. This is Uncle Ron's stuff. I have like 4 other problems ongoing, computer-related stuff, and it's driving me crazy. But anyway, today is the 30th of January 2025, and this one was about vanity, and I hope you get something out of it. Uncle Ron's stuff, and this is 3, 2, 1, pop.